So on the last episode, we talked about Twitter's change to X, and it's seemingly falling from furry grace. But in this weird, wacky internet world we live in, we don't know where furries will end up. There's been a lot of talks about a lot of different social media websites. Will it be Mastodon with its toots? Will it be Blue Skies with its puffy clouds, but lack of bird? Will it be Co-Host, which also seems to have plans of trying to monetize content similar to what X is currently doing? Or what we should call it, probably the website previously known as Twitter, I suppose. So today we're going to talk about Mastodon, but also leading up to that, we're going to talk about how to navigate or how to maintain social media presence in an ever-shifting, dynamic world. There are many different ways that you can do this, but always have some redundancy is an important thing. You don't know which web pages will be accessible or inaccessible in the future, so spreading yourself out a little thin, but not too thin, not so that you're spending 90% of your time maintaining your social media presence, because that's way too much work. Make it so that it's easier on yourself. Make it so that you can navigate from one place that you work, content create to another relatively easily. Because if you can do it, then your audience can do it. Okay? So, let's give you an example. Let's start at X. Let's start at X, shall we? So here you have my main page on XCO, on the X page. But basically, I don't think there's anything inappropriate on here, which is great. Keeping it clean. But basically, I click on this and I can go to my Fur Affinity page. And this is my pinned tweet. Now, my pinned tweet brings you to this article / thing that I wrote 7 months ago. And the reason I wrote it 7 months ago was because back then Twitter had actually said, yeah, we're not going to allow you to post links to things. And they had this rule policy here, but as you can see, if I click on that, it no longer exists because it was relatively quick. It was like one of those weekly Elon sort of throw crap at the fan and see if it sticks, but no, now there's crap everywhere, right? So basically the idea is that I listed out just a very simple thing that you should keep in mind when you're shifting websites or shifting resources from one place to another. The best thing that you can do is pin an article to your profile that has a link to your other social media items, such as a LinkTree. So as you can see down here, I have a link to my LinkTree, but also I have it linked to my my Sunniest page, so that when you look down here, you actually can get, like, here are the different places you can find me, right? So sort of a redundancy. And also, I think there's also a link tree on here, or maybe not. Not sure. But as I said, I can update that to include that. But in essence, have a thing that pins and goes to another place that maybe gives good information, or maybe a piece of artwork, things that you're known for, and then in that artwork that you pin, have your branches that go off to the different places. So for instance, here you have create content. So I give you 3 ideas, right? So pin an article to the place that you're going to be posting a lot less often, and post it and link to a place that people can find you elsewhere very easily. And the reason I said you should post a link to a place that has a piece of work plus a link to the place is because of this rule that Twitter implemented, saying that pinned tweets with links or links in the profile aren't going to be allowed anymore. So this is sort of a workaround, as it were. That would definitely be a violation of a person's First Amendment or a person's ability to speak and create content, because this is content, right? So basically, you can create content off Twitter and then post a link to that content. That's another thing that you can do. and this is something I would never, as an artist, please, like, don't use Twitter as an artist archive, please. Or like most social medias, please like have a portfolio somewhere that you can trust, because it's a lot easier to sort through. Like, Twitter's not designed for that. Most social media platforms aren't. That's just general advice. And basically, 2A, I said, if you really don't like Twitter or whatever social media, you can disable the comments within your Twitter and basically for 2, like if you're posting your content or your articles and stuff like that, you can basically go, you know what, I don't want you talking about my content on this thing. I mean, I guess you could if you retweeted or re-xed or exfoliated or whatever it's going to be called now. But basically, you're going to, you're trying to encourage engagement on a different site. So you would basically cut comments off and basically allow comments in the social media site of choice, as opposed to that. So that's something you can also do. So, and I said this follows the rules that Space Caesar set out and stuff like that. Now, facetiousness aside, this is the LinkTree. Now, a LinkTree is a website that basically you can, and there's other sites that are competing with LinkTree right now. I don't know whether, and Green Reaper made a good point when I talked about, it's like, hey, can we get like a LinkTree link in like as like an option to basically, instead of having us list all of our sites on Flaira, can we just like post a LinkTree or add it as a thing? And he said, well, I don't know whether, and Green Reaper made a good point. It's like, I don't know whether or not this is going to be a thing forever, because who knows, right? So you don't know what's going to stick until it sticks. So for now, it seems to work very well. Basically, you can make a bunch of links to different platforms that you have, and you can basically go, and you can even have it be non-standard places. Like, here's Flaira, right? Click on Flaira. Here's my profile on Flaira, right? And it actually opens a new window too, so you can like click on different things. So then my YouTube channel, my Fur Affinity, my SoFurry, my Mastodon, and my Twitter, right? So a lot of non-standard links here, but also it works relatively well, and you basically can sort these based on your priorities, right? You're gonna, if I'm making major content, it's gonna be on written content, it's gonna be on Flaira. If I make video content, it's gonna be on YouTube. Fur Affinity, so on and so forth. So you can use a main hub like this to try to do that. And you can even have 2 main hubs just as a backup, right? If you're really paranoid, there's probably another content thing. I'm not too paranoid, but you can, like, my Flaira's got a bunch of these links as well, I think. Like my Weasel account, my Twitter account, my LiveJournal account. So this has a lot of older stuff that I don't really use, and it has Mastodon too. So I updated that at some point. But basically, just have basically a redundant places, sort of like a webring for yourself, and be sure to do that. But on to the main topic of this video, which is the Mastodon. So I've had Mastodon for about a month now. It looks like I've had it since December. And so what are my thoughts on it? Well, I don't use it as much as Twitter/X yet, but as I said in the intro video, it really, it's one of those things where you use something until you don't, right? Until it becomes too cumbersome to do. So far, Twitter is still somewhat functional, for what I need it for. Eventually, that may not be the case. And eventually I may have to use one of the other platforms more often. As I said with LiveJournal, I was using LiveJournal until I wasn't. And then I was using Twitter more, because that's where people were. And that's where people were discussing things and talking about things. And it was no longer LiveJournal. So at the end of the day, that could happen with X when it comes to either the furry fandom or otherwise. So it's always good to keep your eyes open. Now, one critique that a lot of people in Mastodon use is that the people in Mastodon really, really, really love Mastodon. The people who really utilize Mastodon a lot really love it, and it's almost, and somebody compared it to like a Linux user, where people are like talking in like tongues, and it just is kind of a turnoff to Joe Schmo, for better or for worse. Every post that I've seen on my thread feed so far has been really well thought out, really well articulated. No silliness, no like, and that can be for better or for worse. Like, look at this. This is nice. Like, this is a nice piece of work. But the big thing about Mastodon is, and of course the Mastodon heads will get angry at me if I don't mention this, is that it's what is called a Fediverse. Long of the short is, I'm not a tech geek as much as I was. I do have a bachelor's in computer science, but I have kept sort of grounded in sort of mainstream architecture, as it were, or like I have a breadth of knowledge rather than a fine-tooth comb. There are people out there who can explain this a heck of a lot better than I can. But me, I'm just going to tell you to it short. To me, what it is just groups. So you see I have @Tancher McNally @Mastodon.social. The thing after the second @ is basically the Fediverse under which my account exists in. So what the heck does that mean? It's the group that it exists in. There's no overarching rule base or moderation team like with Twitter or Facebook. There's no it's not one large company basically making decisions by a committee whether or not you get to stay in a group or not. Except for maybe myself. Like, me putting myself on Mastodon.social basically probably means that I'm fit under the Mastodon's rule set, like whichever main, and it's probably one of the main things, which I'm fine with because I don't tend to rock the boat all too much. But there are different strokes for different folks in different Fediverses. For instance, Mastodon.art. So this person who made this particular awesome piece of artwork is on the Mastodon.art thing. And so that Fediverse is going to have a lot of posts about art. And I think it kind of affects your live feeds a little bit. But I'm the kind of person who likes to seek out individuals and then make a thread rather than seeking out Fediverses. So to me, it works just as fine. Then you have this person who doesn't seem to have a Fediverse listed, but maybe they kept it hidden. Maybe there's an option to do that I don't know about. This one person here who made this kangaroo picture has it under transfer.social. Now, the fact that they put transformation here, and this is where this kind of shows a good example of how these Fediverses can get a little confusing, particularly for furries, because it's basically first group, first serve, right? So when you're talking about transfer, it's like, well, what is it a group for? Is it a group for people who are, transgender or transsexual plus, furry, right? Or is it for transformation furries? Now, obviously, this tweet kind of gives away the plot that it's a transformation thing, but I just like this as a kangaroo. But obviously, if a furry who is transgender or transsexual goes into this Fediverse thinking that it was for, trans folks, and finds out, oh no, this is for transformation, they might be in for a little bit of a surprise, but they might go, whatever, I guess it's not that big a deal. And it looks like you have, little groups that are like for countries. Like this is called a Finfur, so probably Finland furries. This is a nice piece of artwork here. And this person here is on furry engineering. So there's a group of furry engineers who have their own Fediverse. So as you can see, within this one website, there's a bunch of fiefdoms. And so the idea is that like these quote unquote subforums or subgroups, if you will, saying that just to make it simple, if one of them falls out, then the others kind of will remain. So in essence, it's sort of a decentralization of power infrastructure, which is sort of the underlying omnibus of what the internet is all about, right? So those are the stuff that I posted. So if you click on this home button here, you can see other different things like Furs here, talking here, and then you have Tabo Meerkat basically retweeted a picture of him on looks like a bungee rope from this bark.lgbt. I guess it's another Fediverse. Meow.social is a big one for furries. That one I know is like one of the biggest ones. So Meow.social is a big one. It's like gamedevs.social, but this one was retweeted by Sovak. And then bark.lgbt. So as you can see, there's a lot of different things. So I'm going to show you. So this one here, I was not only going to retweet this one, but I was also, because this awesome kangaroo character here. I like it. I think that's a kangaroo. I can't tell. It's got a long ear, but I like it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, you can do what's called a retweet or boost. They call them boosts. So you can do a boost, and then there's the favorite button. Just like Twitter, however, if you go to it takes a little work, but and it's like, well, oh, cool. Like no one's going to see I faved something or something, but you can kind of see it by here. So if you go here, you can see the people who, faved the thing. So very much thing, but I like this person's art. So I want to do a little exploration. So I'm going to click on that person's name, right? And I'm going to scroll down their thing. I think they're general audience, so I think YouTube will be fine. But I really like their art style. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this person a follow. So you just go up here, click on the person's name, and now you're following that person. So I like to do that when we're going to social media, is like take a look at like the first week of their stuff, see how consistent they are with the content, but know that people are human beings. They're every once in a while they're going to rant, they're going to rave, or they're going to say something that's on their mind and their concerns, and it's fine, right? Obviously, but I think a lot of the cool thing about Mastodon is that a lot of people are definitely using it to post their content rather than their thoughts. Things like Twitter/X or X going Twitter. Basically, a lot of people post their thoughts, but not a lot of their content or a lot of the things that they created or thought, or put a lot of thought into. Just like kind of snark at the wall, which, I've used it for that every once in a while too. But, and then obviously you can comment on something by clicking here, and it'll, give you a little sub tweet thing. And if you don't want to do that, you can click X here, and now you're back to posting for your homepage. It's very slick on desktop, very easy. It's also got decent app support on your phone. So as far as Metaverse goes, I think it's actually a pretty slick platform. I don't get all fancy with like the bookmarks and bookmarks and lists and stuff. I'm not a big fancy person when it comes to that kind of stuff. And so I think it is a suitable replacement. Is there anything new or interesting about it? Well, I can click on live feed and it'll probably have like a whole bunch. Like, this is useless for me. So this is, I'm part of a really large Fediverse. And so like this actually refreshes in real time. So basically, every time somebody posts to mastodon.social, right? So this is this server. This is what's going to be impacted by what group you pick, because I'm just going to get general random stuff when I go to my live feeds. So basically my live feeds is basically useless. But if you are on a smaller Fediverse with a smaller group of people, this might actually have a lot more interesting things to basically show that you might have of more interest. But in my mind, like, I'm fine with being on the main one. I think you can switch between them. I have not figured out how to do that, and no one's really told me. So if you do know how to do that, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below on how to do that. But that's basically the main thing, that what Fediverse you're in is going to impact is basically the live feed. Explore, I have no idea what that's for. The social web that are gaining traction. Okay, so these are like the major news stories for the day. So something about as I said, there's a lot of like self-talk, but then again, like Twitter's full of that, or what I should say, X is full of that these days, of self-referential stuff. So, but that's about it. That's the general idea about how Mastodon works. It's not that active, so like I can check on it every week or so and get like the full picture on the things that have happened over the course of the week with a handful of furries that I like. So if you have a Mastodon, be sure to follow me at that that you've seen this whole video. But basically, that's the whole premise and rundown of it. It's not that bad. It's definitely, you have a lot of people who are very technical, very savvy with words. It's not going to be, it doesn't seem to me to be the place where you would throw a random joke up or a random sass up. At least not the main places that I've seen so far. Whereas like Twitter, there's a lot of crud posting going around. Like I don't see that as much on Mastodon. But yeah, anyways, that's it for Mastodon. So if you have any other one that you would like to see me cover next, please go ahead and make a suggestion in the description below. I'm thinking of either co-host or what was the other one? There's co-host, there's Blue Sky, which I need a code for in order to do that one. But basically I would want to use the social media site for about a month to get a feel for it and understand sort of its little quirks and features so that I can help you navigate it a little bit quicker. But anyways, thank you guys very much for watching Aru Ramble. Kick that like, kick the subscribe button, kick a comment in the comment section, and I'll see you on the medias. And by the way, YouTube is also a good social media platform, but only if you're making videos, just so you know. Anyways, have a good one, guys. We'll see you next time.